Secretary of State Mark Ritchie is not running for re-election, but he still finds himself in another political controversy. This time, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are concerned about the recent creation of an online voter registration system that they say they did not specifically approve. Mary LaHammer has new information from the legislative auditor, and she was able to speak with the Secretary of State himself about the matter.
You don't go the Washington route of gridlock.
Secretary of State Mark Ritchie is animated, even agitated, as he answers questions about an online voter registration system under fire. But he's excited about the website that already has about 1,500 people signed up.
Well, it's been an incredible response, which is, of course, what's happened in all the states. You know, we're kind of way behind it. It's been over a decade in Arizona, Utah, Indiana, Kansas, Nebraska.
But the legislative branch, also under DFL control, argues all those states had enacting language from the legislature.
I said that I think there should be enabling legislation. It's really a gray area. I'm a legislator, so my perspective is it would be best to legislate it, but obviously he got counsel and opinion that made him think otherwise.
He's trying to write law, and I think that's wrong. We have a process, we have a legislature, they're empowered to write law. Let's use that process. Let's do this the right way.
Are you surprised by the legislative reaction that lawmakers have questioned if you have this authority or if you need them?
But I tell you what I am surprised about. Typically in Minnesota, let's say we have a concern. You walk across the hall or you send a note saying, hey, tell me about this. We love to invite people over, show off our stuff. Legislators never wrote us, never called us, didn't walk across the hall, just issued press releases.
The highly respected, nonpartisan legislative auditor James Nobles tells me Ritchie should have come to the legislature for authorization and says his actions show disregard for the legislative process. Nobles says he probably won't get to an audit until mid to late next year unless there are security breaches in the online voter registration. Then he would drop everything and begin investigating immediately.
He works for the legislature. I expect employees of the legislature to take the side of the legislature.
Did you see controversy coming? The legislative auditor said you knew this would be controversial, and the phrase he used with me said you're showing disregard for the legislative process.
Well, I'm amazed that he's a mind reader. Of course we didn't expect controversy.
We have a long history of bipartisan enactment of law on election, and you want to have that. And why in the world, after we just completed a session where we passed a bipartisan election law, this issue never came up? And what we think he should do is he should stop doing what he's doing. He should agree that they made a mistake, and they should just say, you know what, let's suspend this registration process until the legislature acts.
Ritchie cites a law passed back in 2000 and says electronic signatures must be accepted.
We have a judicial branch, and you go ask them, hey, got two different interpretations, help us out here. That's the American way, and Minnesotans expect us to use those kind of systems.
So does this mean this is going to end up in court?
Oh, not my responsibility. What we know is that the citizens love this. The local election officials are saving a ton of money. It's so much more secure because you're not handing off a paper document with your private information.
We don't think it's necessary to file a lawsuit to get him to obey the law. We shouldn't have to do that. He should recognize that he needs to obey the law and do what's right. And when you have bipartisan agreement that what he's doing is not right.
While a lawsuit over online voter registration is a possibility, a legislative hearing is a certainty. Even though many lawmakers like the idea of online registration, they question Ritchie's authority to create it.
When are you going to have a hearing?
We'll have a hearing once session convenes, once we're back in session and there's something we can actually, we have a bill to hear.
We need to have a hearing right now so that we can have some of the issues that are of a concern be brought out and have people testify about their concerns. And there's no opposition to the policy or the idea of doing online voter registration. It's simply that it needs to be done the right way.
I happen to know that many lawmakers love the paper registrations because they like having that information. So we don't know what people love or don't love.
Ultimately, the Secretary of State says local elections officials asked for the online system, and it's saving money.
In a big year, Minnesota has 800,000 people registering. So if everybody was going to use this, the savings to the local officials, over $500,000 a year.
Do you have the authority to do this?
Absolutely. Year 2000, electronic signatures must be accepted.